All right, Shalom. All right, let me get straight into this lesson. But the Spirit jumped on me to go back into this subject matter. Right, going back into the biblical names that you see in your Bible were not the correct pronunciation. Right, they're not the correct pronunciation. These names that you have today has been a translation. They've been Romanized. Right, so it's not the original pronunciation of the prophets, the patriarchs, the Hebrew Israelite names that you see in your Bible, right? Like Jonah, right? So you got a lot of Edomites that get into the biblical name. They name their kids, Joshua, so on and so forth. I'm gonna get to some of the common names or whatever. But they think they picking a biblical name, but these names are not biblical, right? So let's get into this lesson. So the first one I got right here, as you see, is Jonah, right? But when you go into the ancient Hebrew, it'll be Yawana, 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 all right? And there'll be Jonah. That's how you pronounce his name in the correct Hebrew, the ancient Hebrew. So Jonah was not his name. Let's keep going. And this is important for so many different reasons. Let's go to you can see at the very top. Isaiah, right? His name was really Yeshaya. Yeshaya. That was Isaiah's true name. His name wasn't Isaiah, Salaki. I'm getting kind of tongue tied. But most people, they don't know this. They don't know this. They don't have a clue of this. They just read their Bible today. They don't understand how it got formatted into the version they have today. They just open their Bible, read it, and they take it for face value. Don't know any history, any depthness behind what they're reading, the names, nothing. Right? So another one is Jeremiah. So Jeremiah correct pronunciation will be Yaramaya. Yaramaya. Right? So that's how you say it in the ancient Hebrew tongue. That was his true name. That's how you pronunciated his name. Remember, Jeremiah, Isaiah, these are just translations. Right? Let's keep going. Daniel. So some of these Edomites name their children Daniel. That's a pretty popular name, right? What's that? Da na Ya'ala? If I'm not mistaken, I can't really see that as good, right? But that's how you pronunciate Daniel. And then try to zoom back out. Let's go to this one. Joshua is another one. But Joshua, actually, that was not Joshua's name. And the Messiah, and as you know as Joshua, they had the same name. Joshua name was Hawashai first. And then Moses changed it to Yahawashai, right? Which means he saves or he delivers. So the Messiah, true name is Yahawashai. You understand what I'm saying? They name Jesus and Yeshua and all these other names are fake names. These are false names to lead you astray. So I'm kind of just going through this casually. Let's go to Job. Aya Wap. Aya Wap. That's how you say Job name. Right? So again, it goes on and on. Let me show you this one. Let me go to this one as well. This would be Zechariah, right? But when you go into the correct Hebrew, and I'm emphasizing that because you got something called modern Hebrew that's totally different from the Hebrew we spoke. This modern Hebrew is a combination of a gumbo of different languages, primarily Yiddish, right, mixed in, and they added the vowel system, the Masoret text, the that cause that confusion, right? And they actually use. I deal with that another day. I'm just gonna keep it simple. All right. So how you say his correct name is Zakaraya. All right, Zakayara, Sakayaraya, Salakia, Zachariah. Right. So it goes on, so on and so forth. So let's get into this real quick. I want to show you something. So we're gonna go to the paleo alphabet, so-called alphabet chart. And if you didn't know this, Hebrew is read right to left. So you start from the right screen and work your way to the left side of the screen. You've been taught to do left to right. Our people have been taught everything pretty much backwards. So that's why they have so many learning disabilities, because of the way they've been taught. Right? So starting at the far right hand of the screen, you go all the way to the top, you're gonna see look like an N, look like an N, right? So that's what you call the Assyrian script. That's what the Jewish people use, right? They ain't got nothing to do with authentic Hebrew. They don't look like the characters and the pronunciation. Remember, they added the vowels to their system, right? So I'm gonna show you something. So you look under that. That's the first Hebrew character, ancient Hebrew character. It looks like an A upside, like on the sideways A. And the pronunciation, if you go right up under there, it's ah, right? And then you go to the next one, ba, ga, da. What's that? Ha, wa, so on and so forth. But if you screenshot this and you analyze this chart, you're gonna see there's no E sound, no O, no U, no V. So that's how we know those pronunciations that our people come up with, like Yahuwah, Yahweh, they're all incorrect. If you understood this, it would clear up a lot of confusion for you. Again, understanding the alphabet chart, so-called alphabet chart, the way we pronunciated our our letterings, our characters, however you want to say it. But and you see how how characters look. You see that if you go back to the far right hand side, that A that look like it's sideways, you follow every other character in that box, right? You see how it looks compared to the characters on top of the box. All those this is crazy, man. So this is very important to understand this. Let's go here. So you got something called lost in translation. What does this mean? Right? So lost in translation means that when something is translated from one language to another, listen up to this. It says important nuances, meaning, or context is lost in the process. Why is this important though? Resulting in a less accurate or impactful interpretation in the new language. That's why you got to go back into the ancient Hebrew and understand that these was not their names that you see in the Bible. All right? These was not their names. Their names were not pronunciated that way. And you'd be like, why is that a big deal? That's a big deal because we got to get back into the source, the origin, right? You don't want to go get some artificial fruit. You want to get the real fruit, right? So we got to go back into the source to get the understanding, because our names meant something. All of our names carried weight to it. Okay, so right here, I put in lost in translation. It says unable to be understood due to having been poorly translated. So what they did is went into the Bible and they created all kind of snares that you won't even comprehend. They got all kind of booby traps to trap you up in these scriptures, because they changed stuff in the scriptures. They put different words in different places. Like for instance, they put thou shalt not abhor an Edomite. But when you look the word up, it goes back into Assyrian. But you won't know that if you don't go deeper, right? So it wasn't, it goes on and on. But let me go here. And I just put in what, what language, what language was the Bible written in. Just so you can see, for edification. It said almost the entire so-called Old Testament was written in Hebrew, right? And then we know the New Testament right here at the top was written in Greek. Because you had a big, that was during the Greek Empire, when you had Alexander the Creep, or the Greek as they call him, right? That was given dominion, and then his 4 generals divided up the kingdom when he died, right? So let's go. I don't want to get too deep with it. I just want to kind of make this real straight to the point, because I was going to go into other things like, how they Romanize the Bible. But yeah, going into these names, Edomites really get into these names and they think these names are biblical names, right? And they're not. They're a translation. They're watered down, very, very watered down names that really have no resemblance to the pronunciation or to the historical records of the people of the Bible, which will be us. So that's why you have to always go back into the source. Go back into the source, the origin, the root. That's where you're going to get everything. That's where you're going to get the truth at. Right? So I didn't want to go too deep. I just wanted to, expound a little bit more on that so you can have some understanding. But, Lord willing, I'm going to get this book and I'm going to be going into more names. And it's breaking those names down. So, I guess in certain contexts, lessons or whatever, giving you the correct Hebrew name so you can have that understood. All right. Hopefully this lesson was edifying. Call Allah Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahweh Shai, Bahashem, Rachak, Quadash. Shalom.